How we doing, everyone? So, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett, who of course is in action for the interim title against Justin Gaethje, slowly but surely is becoming the most hated man in the lightweight division. So, this all goes back to an interview that Paddy did just recently with the MMA guru. He was talking about a variety of people. He was throwing shots at everybody. On this occasion, though, weirdly, didn't really have too much of a go at Ilia Topuria because he said he wants to respect the privacy and didn't want to talk about his family matters. But he went hard on a bunch of people, namely Dan Hooker. You've probably seen this already. It's exploded. It's all over social media. So he's talking to the MMA guru. He was trying to explain how bad Dan Hooker's grappling was, and he used kind of an unhinged analogy. And he is getting absolutely murdered online. Now, I'm not going to defend Paddy, but I'm going to kind of defend him, if you know what I'm saying. Now, he said Dan Hooker's grappling was so bad that he couldn't stop, an attacker going after his mum. You've got to be careful on YouTube what you say. So, we all know John played the clip.
And lad, people are saying, like, Justin Gaethje, he's older than that, lad. He's 2 years older than Dan Hooker.
That's true.
Dan Hooker couldn't grapple off his ma. You know what I mean?
Okay, strong statements about Dan Hooker there.
He said that, right, which is a wild line. He was just having a laugh. And I know a lot of people are shocked by this. And I know a lot of people said that's out of bounds. It's off limits. Have a bit of respect. You're a trash human being. I mean, all you got to do is have a look on Twitter and some YouTube comments. People are really going after Paddy for this. And obviously Dan Hooker came out with a wild response as well. We'll get to that in a second. But just on Paddy here, you got to remember, he's a lad from Liverpool where they do have a great sense of humour, but also, it can be a little cutting, it can be a little bit dark, and he was speaking to another English guy. Now, as I say, I'm not defending the fact that he brought up Dan Hooker's mom, right? He should not have done that. But in the context, right, it wasn't that bad. He never said anything too bad. He was basically just talking about the grappling of Dan Hooker. Now, should he have mentioned his mother? No, absolutely not. He shouldn't have done that. And Dan Hooker has got absolutely every single right to be as pissed off as what he is, okay? And he came out with a response and said, I thought we were mates. Obviously, you're not a very good mate, are you? Hashtag Paddy the Baddy, R.I.P. Ricky, right? And that is having a dig to one of his friends that, shall we say, ended his own life, and it's an awful situation. And Paddy's not happy. He's not happy with that. And that is a disgusting comeback. It is. But given what Paddy said, it's like the gloves are off, right? All's fair in love and war. You want us to go there, you want to bring up my mother, right? And anytime you bring up the mothers, it never ends well. I mean, look at that thing with, was it Kevin Lee and Michael Chiesa? Kevin Lee said something, Michael Chiesa runs across the stage like a wild man, said, don't you mention my mama, and all that type of stuff, right?
But I just hope he shows up, because I know his mama got tickets, so...
Shut the fuck up about, hey, don't talk about my mom. Smack the fuck out of you right now. Don't you ever talk about my mom.
Yeah, what's good?
The yo mama jokes never go down well. And they're a bit played out, they're a bit tired, they're a bit old. But anyway, I don't think he was trying to necessarily go there. It was just an off-the-cuff remark that's now biting him in the ass. Dan Hooker's response wasn't nice at all. Obviously, men's health and mental health is a huge issue. A tremendous amount of men pass away every year via suicide. And it's not a laughing matter. But as I say, the gloves were off. Dan Hooker was offended. He was pissed off. He was very angry and emotional. He's like, you know what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So anyway, there's that. There's my thoughts on that. But more importantly, now, it's very interesting because these guys both have fights coming up very, very soon. We know Paddy's fighting Justin Gaethje. And if he beats Gaethje, he becomes the interim champion. After that, Dan Hooker's off his radar, right? He will not get to fight Dan Hooker. The only person he's going to fight next is either Ilia Topuria, if Ilia comes back soon, which I hope he does, because he only just became the champion, or it's going to be Arman Tsarukyan, right? Now, Arman Tsarukyan, a lot of people felt that he should have got the title shot. As we know, there was a few circumstances pulling out of the fight. He headbutted Dan Hooker when he beat him recently. And Dana White just kind of like admitted that definitely played a factor into him not getting a title shot.
Did the headbutt play any factor in the decision to not go with him? It did, right?
A lot of things have factored in, you know.
Not being dependable, headbutting your opponents at weigh-ins and stuff like that. It's not a good look, because if that had have opened up a cut on Dan Hooker, the main event, where was it? In Qatar, would have been off. Do you know what I'm saying? So Orman's incredible, right? But Paddy went after him, said that, you know, he's a crap grappler and all the rest of it. I hope he breaks his neck and all that type of shit. He said Dan Hooker almost had him in a guillotine. But anyway, if Paddy beats Justin, none of this matters, because they ain't going to fight. But if he loses, I think we might see this fight happen pretty quickly, because remember, 1 week after UFC 324, I'll be there. The week after, I'll be there as well in Sydney, Australia. UFC 325 is happening. Dan Hooker's going up against Benoit Saint-Denis. Tough, stylistic matchup for both men. Benoit Saint-Denis is going to try and grapple him. He's going to try and take him down, because on the feet, Dan Hooker probably has his way. But Dan Hooker's not an easy man to take down. Remember, the man has a victory over Mateusz Gamrot. And yes, okay, Charles Oliveira just went out there and dominated and finished Gamrot pretty easily, you know, respectfully to Gamrot, right? But that's Charles Oliveira, right? The man with some of the best grappling and the most submissions in the history of the sport. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like Dan Hooker can't grapple. And if Dan Hooker wins, if Dan Hooker loses, it doesn't matter. If Paddy Pimblett loses, that's going to be the next fight. Simple as that. And right now, Paddy Pimblett is not making any friends in the lightweight division. And you know what? It doesn't matter, because guess what? None of these are his mates. Whether he's a good mate or he's a bad mate, none of that matters. You're here for yourself. It's me, myself, and Irene. For you, your family, your loved ones. You're trying to build a better life. None of these people that you're going to step foot in an octagon with are your friends. None of them give a shit about you. So yeah, it is all fair in love and war. And yeah, you don't talk about families, and you certainly don't talk about mothers, and you certainly don't make fun of people that have passed away, right? All that shit, leave it off the table. Talk about them. Talk about their looks. Talk about their fights. Talk about the way they dress. Whatever you want to do, just leave all that shit out of it. But I will say this, it does make it spicy. It does give people like me something to talk about, and it certainly makes the matchmaking interesting going forward. Now, currently I'm in Georgia. Look at this beautiful hotel room I've got here, by the way. All those books there, I've read them all. Simple as that. This room here is phenomenal. It's very, very, very cool. Hold on, I've got a gold bathtub down here, which is kind of just being used to, it's being used for a dirty washing. But if I just spin this round here, it's kind of like a rustic. These tiles are amazing. There's a heated floor. It's all brass. I hope there's me. There's the shower. There's my wardrobe in there. Yeah, this place is crazy, man. I tell you, the people of Georgia are absolutely phenomenal. Very kind. And let me tell you, there is a lot of MMA fans here. It seems everyone watches the UFC, and I haven't paid for a goddamn thing. I went to the gym, that's for free. I went to a meal last night, the Grand Cafe. If you're ever in Georgia, go to the Grand Cafe at the Telegraph Hotel, because that was amazing as well. Shout out Nika for the free meal. So yeah, and obviously speaking of Georgians, they've got fighters as well. Ilia Topuria, the lightweight champion, and a man that's missing right now in the division. Because right now, Paddy, it doesn't seem that he's making any new fans, okay? But it doesn't matter. He's got to fight against Justin Gaethje. He should be talking about that. All of this stuff, it's not a distraction. It's not a distraction, because Paddy's the type of guy that likes to talk shit, and all of this stuff, it's all great for the brand, right? Whether or not people love him, whether or not they hate him, they're all going to tune in to watch him. Some people want him to win. Some people will want to see him get kicked to shit. And guess what? I've been in the exact same position, you know? So at the end of the day, none of this stuff really matters. It's how he performs inside the octagon. Obviously, you want to look at yourself in the mirror when it's all said and done and be proud of how you handle yourself throughout the career. And just to end on this, I don't think he was trying to insult Dan Hooker's mother, okay? It was just kind of taken out of context. Yes, it was wild. Yes, it was regrettable. Yes, he was probably just trying to be funny, you know, and the joke failed. It missed the mark. It offended Dan Hooker. A lot of people are coming after him. But as I say, in his mind at that moment in time, it was just a bit of banter. It was a bad analogy. It was regretful, but so was Dan Hooker's response. Anyway, I've got a meeting to get to. I'm here in Tbilisi, Georgia. Shout out to everyone that I've met here so far, because as I say one more time, the Georgian people are absolutely phenomenal. Lots more videos coming this week. Subscribe and ring the bell. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about all this beef between Paddy the Baddy and Dan Hooker? Who do you think wins the fight with Paddy and Justin Gaethje? Do you think we get to see Dan Hooker taking on Paddy Pimblett anytime soon? Because I feel it might be trending that way if Paddy Pimblett loses at UFC 324. Take care.